back to the 5-7 podcast. I'm your host, Mike Pre, and today I'm going to talk about the explosion that happened in Beirut on August 4th. Now, I know it's been practically 20 days, but there's a lot of information that wasn't coming out at the time, and I wanted to put everything together and then put it out to everybody. So because they have a little bit of a complicated thing going down there in Lebanon. So my sources are Reuters, Time, and The Guardian. Lebanese President Michael Aoun has come to the conclusion that there are two possible reasons for the explosion that left widespread destruction in Lebanon: negligence or outside intervention from a missile or a bomb. 220 lives and 300,000 homes were destroyed on that day. The blast is said to have come from a fire that lit 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate, and how the fire started is unknown. Now, ammonium nitrate is commonly used as a high nitrogen fertilizer. It is also used in explosives. Obvious problem here is that it was stored in an area for too long. Reports say that it has been there in that port since 2013. After a while, if the ammonium nitrate is left in one space for too long, it starts to decompose. When this happens, it starts to create heat and releases gases like nitrogen dioxide. If in a confined space and left unchecked, you get what happened in Lebanon. When nitrogen dioxide explodes, it has an orangish reddish color. If you watch the video, you can see the color of the blast. Now, the blast was felt for over 6-mile radius and is estimated to have been felt up to 100 miles away. To add to the conspiracy theories, because the guy who previously owned the boat who had the fertilizer was a Russian guy who just left it abandoned, so you can run with that if you want to. As Lebanon recovers from this explosion, they also have other issues. There have been protesting and riots over what appears to be the ineptitude of the government. Citizens of Lebanon feel the government was careless. Prior to COVID-19, they were having protests over the government. Sound familiar? Since their civil war ended in the early 90s, they feel that leadership was failing them. In October, it was said that taxes would be raised, so that caused a huge daily protests. Now, here's a background of what's going on with the economy. The economy has been in a free fall because of mismanagement by the government, the central bank, and corruption at all levels. Things have turned from bad to worse. Because of hyperinflation, food prices have gone up. People can't pay for power. As an example, retired Lebanese officer's pension was $700 a month because the value of the dollar, which used to be comparable to the American dollar, has dropped 80%. His pension is now worth $100 a month. After all of this, the government wants to impose another tax on the people, and they've had enough because they're just getting taxed to death, and with inflation, they're just not getting much on their money. There's a story of a man who's been trying to give people power, and he runs these generators to give people power. The problem is that the people who pay him, they can't pay him anymore, and he has to pay his own cost, his own electric cost for that. So his business is going down the tubes. Now, the country's constitution guarantees government positions to 18 separate religious sects. Obviously, this was intended to balance the diverse populace, and as it turns out, it has only helped self-serving politicians. The citizens are asking for a new constitution. This was going on before the pandemic. As a result of the protests, their Prime Minister, Saad Hariri, resigned. Not even a year later, his replacement, Prime Minister Hassab Diab, announced his cabinet's resignation. The citizens were protesting, resign or hang. Now, the president was says that he will not resign. He can't resign because they wouldn't have a government if he did. So then moving forward is incredibly complicated. The people are sick of their politicians, and they want them out. There's been protesting. The police are trying to help prevent the protesters from taking things too far. It's not similar to what's going on over here. What's going on over here is race, and people haven't seen or are not protesting the government's ineptitude. In Libya, they are, and where they go from here is, I want to say it's no man's land, but we'll see what happens. It's really unfortunate for these people because they've had this going on. COVID-19 happened. Everyone pretty much went indoors like everyone else because of COVID-19. And then this explosion happens, which just ripped through Lebanon. And it's just incredibly unfortunate. A lot of people have lost their homes. They have nothing. They can't rebuild because of the economy's situation, and these self-serving politicians are making it impossible. So that's what I have for you today, guys. Let's monitor, see what is going to continue to go on in Lebanon. Hopefully these people can get back on their feet, but this is the story as of today of what is going on from the explosion, and how much of a disaster that it truly is for these people, and how can they rebuild. There are some GoFundMe pages out there for them to help these people, and be sure to look in on it and see what's going on, especially with the protest, because I'd like to see how the government responds in changing their constitution, because that's what the people want, and how they elect cabinet members going forward. So it should be interesting. All right, that's all that I got for you today, guys. This is Pre out.